Call the meeting, please, and do roll call.
All right, Chair Kennedy is excused. Vice Chair Goodman,
Here.
Mike Fan,
Here.
Jeffrey Miller,
Here.
Gregory Riordan,
Here.
Corey Settles,
Here.
Roger Thomas.
Here.
Perfect. All right, so the first item is approval of minutes from September 3rd, 2025 Workforce Housing Meeting.
Do we have a motion to approve those meetings, guys?
No, so moved.
Looks like we pass.
Who seconded? Perfect. And then no opposed. Perfect. Passes 6-0. So we had planned to have Sandy here. Unfortunately, she's not able to make it today, so we're going to try to get her for the November meeting. But I just wanted to talk about an event that's coming up in November. It's Solving the Housing Shortfall, and it will be at the Eastfire Sports on November 12th. I sent you all that information. If you need it again, let me know. And if the public needs it, they can email me at citystaff@prescott-az.gov. So that was a short item.
Can you kind of expand just a little on what that is about?
Yes, so it's being hosted by a couple different groups, from Fain Signature Group to Pinnacle Bank, YCCA, APS, Dignity Health, WeCom Fiber, and The Ranch. And they're going to be discussing, it looks like it's a panel presentation, but they'll be discussing things of like what role of housing is there in creating a vibrant and thriving community? Where are the greatest opportunities to solve current housing issues in Yavapai County? And who should be responsible for addressing the top priorities identified in question 2, and what action steps are necessary? So just a good panel discussion on issues affecting Yavapai County as a whole and who's going to help.
And we don't have any representation from this board on that board. Or that panel.
Not that I see, and not that I've been asked at this time. All right. Any other questions on that one? Again, if you need the information again. Okay.
Sorry, Amber. I don't know, is there an email distribution list for all of us? I received like the minutes for today's meeting, but I didn't receive anything that sounds familiar like you were just speaking to. I don't know, do we have a distribution list that we're allowed or supposed to use with all of us? I didn't know Nicole was not going to be here. I know Randy said he got an email, but I don't know if everybody's would have.
So it should have gone out probably a month and a half ago, but I'll resend it just so everybody has it. And the distribution list that you get the agenda packet on, those are the only emails that go out. So if you got that one, then that's what everybody gets, usually ahead of time. But I'll send that one again just so it's out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. All right, so IT, if you'll switch over to the PDF, we just have some minor changes from the last meeting, and we'll kind of go over some options today. Okay, so IT pulled that up. So one of the options today, after we've reviewed the changes, we can keep editing, or, well, we'll edit anything that's needed editing. And you can do a similar layout to what we did in April, which was you can either send the policy as a draft, so you don't have to make a motion or anything, but we can take it as a draft to council in December, and then it can come back for additional editing, given council input, things like that. That can add a bit of time on it. Or if you are content with the changes, or you can make a motion with some additional changes today to recommend to approve it to go to council, then council will receive it as kind of your final document. The only possible aspect to that is if they want any changes, it may not come back to this committee to do it. They may do it on their own. So those are kind of the options. It's probably as clear as mud. Do you guys have any questions on those? And I'll bring up the options too once we go through just the changes, and you guys can let me know what you feel at that point. Yeah, looks clear as mud. All right.
Well, comment. Well, go ahead, Mike.
I would just, doesn't matter. I mean, we're an advisory committee to council, so if they don't agree with anything we come up with, they have every right to change it anyway. So can you explain the potential difference?
So if you just send it as a draft, not as a recommend to approve to council, then it will come back and you will have to recommend it at some point. But that at least gives you more control if they have further updates on you inputting those updates. But if you recommend it, then they could ask to put it on the next voting meeting and then they could approve it. So it could be faster, but then you won't have any say on any of the input that they have.
Well, we've been working on this for 2.5 years. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of tired of beating a dead horse here. I think it's time to, get this thing locked down and send it on. Whether they adopt it or not, that's up to council, but we can keep batting this ball back and forth for another year and still not get down the road at all. So I don't know. Thoughts from the rest of the crew here?
I'd second your recommendation.
Don't second
Yeah,
anything yet. We have to change something, or we have to look at some changes first.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. If they want to change something, they're going to change it, whether we like it or not. Connie, do you have any wisdom here for us as a council member?
My suggestion is that you get it right the first time. We have a new crowd of, as you know, new council members coming on. It's going to take a lot of education on your part to make sure that you bring some of the new council members that do not have a background in construction up to speed. Again, I think I've said this over and over again. We want to incentivize people to come here, but we've got to do it right. And of course, at stake are the impact fees. The community, frankly, and we just went through this with the 478 and a couple other things, are tired of picking up the bill for a lot of this stuff. We want to make it fair. We want to give the option of giving you or the developers the possibility of having the impact fees deferred. I feel like that's really loud. So get it right the first time. And I think the way we've got it worded today, there's a lot of leeway for the council to make a decision to give those impact fees. That'll be the golden goose right there, depending upon the project, and it is what it is going to be. But as far as your role, when the new council comes in, if somebody comes to you, fill them in. You're going to have a big education job ahead of you to make sure that you bring the council up to speed. They have to have a deep understanding of what we're dealing with here. And Randy, I know you've been on both sides of the coin here, so I think it's going to be very valuable to get right down. Don't waste your time in front of council with all the little nuances. Get right to the subject, because you're only going to have a few minutes to make an impact. And I think that's going to be it's right now with this council, that's a very important subject. So make sure they understand that it's project by project. We talked a lot about the difference between may and will. Make sure they understand that. I mean, I can only talk to 2 of them. I can't talk to all of them. So hopefully they're dialed into what's going on here. But no, I think what we've got now, we've got a really good product. And if I was a betting person, I think we're going to get buy-in from the council today. I really do. I think we've done a lot of work in making sure that we're protecting the city, but also giving us the tools, us being the council, to be able to move forward with a good project. We need it. Everybody agrees to that.
Just think it's time to, a yes or no answer. We're kind of there. I mean, we pushed this thing around for how long now? And I think we refined it pretty well. I mean, there's always room for improvement. I get it, but it's like a light switch. It's either on or off, so I'm ready to move forward.
I think it's a great product right now. I mean, there's a couple little tiny things, but you guys took the bulk of it on last meeting and got rid of it, and with the input of our attorney, by the way. So I consider that his blessing to make sure that all parties are good. And we've got a lot of protection on our end. We've got a lot of tools set up to protect the city tax dollars. But we've also got an avenue or a path for anybody interested in doing this to move forward, my opinion.
Well, perfect. We'll go through the updates, and then I have a slide that says all of that a little bit better, so it's less messy, but
And then Amber, we're gonna get to what you and I just talked about after that? With regards to the work, to the December meeting with the council?
yes. Yep, that's in there. I was like, what did we just talk about? So this edition, our city attorney had put out some priorities, and it was consensus by the committee to add that in as a paragraph. So that's just talking about that the committee outlines key initiatives to support workforce housing development, including fee waivers. So just as an intro statement, this is what's in this policy. All right.
I saw a red back there.
Okay, so this one was just to pay all or a portion of impact fees, so it just gives a little bit more flexibility that it's not just a portion, it could be all depending on the project. IT, could you scroll down? So for density bonuses, you all wanted it just more broad, and it continues on to the next page, but we tried to broaden it a little bit so it was city goals and compatibility with surrounding neighborhoods. Developers may qualify by offering one or more of the following. So these just highlight some of the different options. And then the last one, which we'll see on the next page in a minute, is other solutions that support the city's workforce housing goals may also be considered. So just to kind of broaden it, but also still have those suggested options there. And bullet points were suggested too, so.
This is kind of a serious part. Is everybody okay with what they're reading there?
Just a quick question as I'm reading this. The part that's crossed out on the next page, or am I on page 21? Sorry, I'm on page 21. Is that just reiterated in the bullet points?
Yes, so it was taking that paragraph and kind of broadening it and making it a little bit easier for reading purposes as well. All right, so I'm not hearing any negative feedback on that.
No,
So,
well written.
all right. I get a little excited about bullet points sometimes, so.
So just a quick question. I mean, Randy, I think, and I'll quote you wrong, but I'm comfortable with that this was the sword that you were going to die on, potentially the density verbiage. Are you good with it now?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about what we're trying to accomplish, density is really what it comes down to, make it the price per square foot or affordability or whatever for the developer. And so density is the issue, in my opinion. I mean, the fees that we waive or we suspend till the end, that's great, but density is what makes it work. So it looks okay to me. Am I missing something?
No, I liked it, but I mean, being a new member, I look to some of our legacy members to, that have been through some more pain than we have yet, and to see your acceptance is goodness.
Mike, you're a developer.
Well, no, I'm not. I think it's well written at this point. It gives us the flexibility, like we talked last time. You got to look at it from both sides of the fence, and I think this does that.
I think it gives the flexibility, but it also gives it put some goals and talking points in order. So if I'm as an architect, I'm sitting down with a developer and saying, hey, here's some lanes that we might be able to go through and to steer some opportunities for density bonus if we do bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And it's a lot clearer than to have that conversation and set the table for what we can drive that density bonus towards. How much it is, I have no idea, but.
Well, maybe somebody in the crowd, we're used to this. We've been working on it for a long time, but is this clear enough for the first time somebody reads this, that they get it and they understand what they're reading and makes it easy for them?
IT, could we scroll down again? Sorry, I moved it. Too far, back up. There we go. That lower part.
I'm getting a thumbs up from the crowd. I think we're there, guys. I think we're there. It's clear, it's clean, simple. Mr. Architect right here said that if he sat down with a client, that he could go line by line on that. I like that.
Yeah, architects can barely read, so we're good.
All right, then we will go to, just want to make sure I don't skip it. So none of these had any changes from our last one. IT, can you scroll down to the very bottom of this page? And then so that part is phased inclusion of workforce housing. I'll let you read that first sentence and then we'll go to the second one. But developers are strongly encouraged to include an equal percentage of workforce housing units in each phase of a project. IT, if you'll go to the next page. So this was just kind of working on that verbiage a little bit of the phased inclusion and talk about if deferral is necessary, any associated incentives will also be deferred until the final phase is permitted. And then adjusting quality standards to be for the adopted building codes, all applicable city requirements, and any relevant land use or historic preservation regulations. So getting rid of that aesthetic compatibility. So let everybody take a gander.
That hits what we talked about last meeting.
Well, I'm very happy to say that this was the last edit. So IT, could we go back to the PowerPoint, please? So here's that possible action that I wrote. I tried to read it out a lot better than I said it. So you have two options today. You can submit it as a draft policy, or you can vote to recommend the policy with the edits that we just reviewed.
I recommend that we vote on what we've done with those revisions.
Yeah, I agree with Randy. Send the policy forward. Probably. So when would the vote occur, or when would council address it?
So if you vote to approve this for recommendation, then we will get this, I'll take out the red line, but get this into council's hands as quickly as possible so they have time to review it. And then we'll also plan for some one-on-ones with our new council members when they're sworn in November. That's a long way to say December is when we're doing the study session. I have a slide about that as well. Depending on council's input at that study session, they could request additional edits be made and requested to bring it forward. And then, or they could put it on the next voting meeting that's available for approval. So.
Randy, may I say a word? I wanted to ask Amber a question. Is there any possibility we can get this on with this council?
Yes and no. Talking to the city clerk, December is the only time available that we would have the full 2 hours for a full study session. That being said, if the mayor or two council members ask her to put it on an agenda, I don't know if there's any flexibility on that, but we would have to share that study session, which I know was a huge concern for.
Well, how does the committee feel about that? I mean, my gut tells me to go forward with this council rather than the potential of starting or dealing with some potential changes. And we've had some things fall off. Maybe I'll talk to Sarah about fast tracking this a little bit, because that would be a good culmination to moving forward with a new council. Get this part behind you so you can start to move forward.
I concur.
Okay.
So not to,
I don't know if I do, Connie.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean to oppose, but I don't want the new council to feel like they're not being included. And we're going to work with them for a long time as they serve their seats. And I want this committee to stay intact for a long time and move forward. So kind of would like have all of you buy in, but I want them not excluded. Is that silly?
Yeah,
or-
it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You know, once the term ends on November 18th, it's over, and you're going to be dealing with the next whoever ends up in those seats. So, I think this is a great product. If you're confident enough that everybody's going to feel that way, then go ahead and take the weight. But my gut tells me we should try to get this done now.
Yeah, I agree with Connie. And I mean, if the incoming mayor has seen all this, so we've got to add there, but our council liaison's going to be gone, and a bunch of our current council that's been dealing with this are all going to be gone.
There's 4 seats, Randy, right
Right.
now.
Yeah, so it's a lot of education for all the incoming, with the exception of the mayor. She should be up to speed, but the rest of them, they haven't dealt with this at all. So asking them on their second meeting to vote, that's a big ask. So I would suggest we try to move it along if we can, and then if some of the incoming members feel strongly that they want to spend some time on this, I would be a little surprised. Then we could readdress it. But in the meantime, I think we push it along. Back to your comment, we've been working on this a long time. I'd hate to see it derailed.
so a tiny addition to that. So the study session, they don't vote at. So even if we can absolutely work to try to bring it to a sooner study session, it still may not go to a vote until a new council.
Yeah, that's a risk we do take. We'll have to see what opens up to try to get it done. I mean, there's a few scenarios that could happen here. Just as Amber said, we could get the study session done, but not enough time for the vote before the new council is seated and the new mayor. We'll just have to see how it all falls in place. We'll talk to Sarah, the city clerk, and she makes that final decision. And we'll see if we can push it forward. But Mike's got it right. Why take a chance, number one? You're going to have to spend a lot of time educating people that are not in this world. I don't think we should take a chance. I think it's a great product. We all agree it is. Let's try to move it forward and go on to the next thing. I think you're opening a Pandora's box that probably doesn't need to be opened, but
Well, I'm not a politician, as you all know, bull in a china cabinet, so I have to defer to you two. You're very active in city politics, and you are as well, so I don't know, how do the rest of you guys feel?
I'm aligned sooner rather than waiting and seeing, what delays could happen. Just trying to go for it, and perfection's the enemy of completion.
I have one more question. If either mayor or 2 council members are asking to put it on a sooner agenda, that might mean sharing the study session with another item. Is that something that the committee is okay with as well?
and that happens all the time.
Last time we met with them, we only had the hour, which turned into 55 minutes, and it went by so fast. We were kind of pressed to get through it, so that would be my only concern. This is a long document with a lot of meat and potatoes in there that need to be,
Well,
understood.
We just talked a few minutes ago about how you're going to have to be very concise, hit the hard points with your bullet points. The rest of it's just minutia. Get down to the subject, inform them of what it is, and move on. You're not going to be able to explain every single thing to it. The little details are inconsequential in my book. You have to be able to go forward and tell them what the tools are. Be succinct in what you're saying. These are the tools we have to move this forward. The rest of it, you don't have to walk through it like we're doing. I don't know. Just get to the point. You're only going to have an hour.
I like the idea of going early. And one of the reasons why is I think we would have a simpler path explaining to the new council this approved policy, that's in place, as opposed to asking them permission, to implement the policy. That's a totally different training path that we take with the new council members as they come on, that I think positions us better. But it also sounds like a few miracles have to happen in order for us to get all that done and voted early. But I would vote early if we could.
Well, and you can start off by telling the council this is over 2 years in the making. We spent a lot of time on it. These are the details. And just sum it up with some bullet points.
Amber, a minute ago, you said you were going to get it out to council right away. Would you do the same with us, the final version? I would beg all of us council members to know this document inside and out, so that if we're questioned or asked by council or anybody, the public, that we know the document well, and I just want some time to study it, read it.
Yes, I would say within the next week at the latest, I would get it to council as well as the committee, because all I have to do is hit approve on those red lines, which makes my job easier. So right now we are set for December. I'll leave that up to Mayor Pro Tem to handle the other aspects of trying to get it sooner. But it's up to you on if you want to take a motion or.
Yeah, I'll move to vote to recommend the policy for council approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second, we have a vote. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye. Okay.
Motion passes
Well,
6-0. Now this. So with the presentation, when we met with different council members, there was an interest in hearing more in depth. If it is moved sooner and we do have to share it, we will have to consolidate it a little bit, which is doable. So these are kind of the layouts that I was initially intending if we were to come in December. Again, we can do a much briefer one if it comes sooner and we do have to share that. We currently have the possible presenters of Chair Kennedy, Vice Chair Goodman, and Member Fan was volunteered, but I won't volunteer anybody. So if anyone else is interested in presenting, what I'll do is meet with each of you depending on the sections that you will be presenting on. I'll try to draft up a presentation once we find out when exactly it's going to be, whether it's December or sooner. And then I'll send it out to the presenters, let them kind of determine if we don't have a quorum, we can meet as well. So I'll let you guys kind of talk about this, what your thoughts are. If anybody else wants to present, then we can go from there.
Yeah, I have some strong feelings about this. First of all, I think we should start with Nicole because she's our chairperson. They should hear from our leader. And I think we all should be there for this, guys. I really do. And if we could all speak, unless you're just not comfortable speaking in public, that I understand. But as much strength and unity that we can show when we present this to council, I think the better. So if you can speak publicly and you're comfortable, volunteer, take a section, be intimately knowledgeable about that section. And I will do the same, and I assume Mike will, and I know Nicole will. So that's my proposal. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm definitely in for that, and like happy to take a section. I was also going to offer, architects may not be good at reading, but we do a lot of presentations. So if there's anything I can help with in preparing visual collateral or things for the actual presentation to put the deck together, we're also happy to assist there.
I appreciate that.
My concern would be the potential chaos of 7 presenters, right? And because, then the tone of the presentation changes with every, handoff of the microphone. I don't, I would be happy to speak to whatever section I'm given, but it would just seem to maybe have more continuity with, fewer than all of us. And I think the 3 legacy members are, the most qualified to speak to it. And if, if we have another volunteer, that's fine. I would just be concerned about, potential parade of speakers on a single subject.
I'm okay with whatever the group decides. I'd be glad to present if needed. November 5th, I will not be available, but at any other time I can.
I agree with Corey, what he just said. And unfortunately, my voice is coming back, but my vocal cords was damaged during surgery, but they're getting a little better. But I do agree with the statement that Corey just said.
I'll defer to the group. I think all comments are well-founded, frankly. I don't think it matters a big deal either way. We get our message across as best we can.
So what we can do, if we do have it come sooner, one speaker might be more efficient just because we might be on more of a tighter timeline. If we have December, we'll have 2 hours and could do a more elaborate one. But we can also just keep it to 3 or 4. When we were talking to council members as well, there was an interest in having guest speakers. Again, if we do have it sooner, depending on if we have to share it or not, which there might be one that we don't have to share, so we'll see. But if we don't have to share it, if we have a 2-hour one, we could have optional guest speakers as well. But I agree with the whole conversation that keeping it as clear as possible regardless is important, just to time does fly. So.
And Pollock and Company will be presenting as well. So giving them plenty of time, the consultant, will just help the case, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that because I think that's the third party important. We're obviously biased. They're a third party that's going to not be biased and present. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, and now you've got me thinking, Corey, I think you might be right. If Elliot Pollock's representative is going to speak, we're going to speak. It would be good to have the fire chief and or the police chief there as well to talk about, the city is a big stakeholder in this and is also vested in this. So I think we want one or both of them there as well to say this, we're part of the problem.
Y'all are looking at me. I do whatever you tell me to. So what we can do, because we do have possibly a little bit of time depending on everything, we'll go talk to Sarah after this, and then we'll know if there is an opportunity to come sooner, and if there's not, the 2 hours would give a bit more time for Pollock and Company guest speakers, doing a rotation of speakers. If we can come sooner, Pollock and Company still may not be able to come before December, but we can ask them, and then that one will possibly need to be a lot more streamlined. So we'll go from there.
I agree with what Mike just said. It was very powerful when the assistant chief from the police department came and presented his situation with regards to recruiting. That was super powerful. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Randy, also, the way I'm looking at this, just listening to you, we've got a couple of options then. We can approach Sarah to find out if we have a cancellation. But if you want to have those speakers, it does sound like we need a full 2 hours, okay? So you're going to probably devote at least 1 hour. When you're looking at that, what's helpful for us on the council is bring a tear sheet of all those bullet points that they can take home with them and read after. There's going to be a lot of information coming at them. But if you look at that, you've got 16 points. You divide that by the 60 minutes you have. That's 3.75, but you got to allow for comments. So I'm going to say every one of those is a 2-minute talk about it. So if you can time yourself when you're addressing each one of those issues to 2 minutes, which will be a little hard. That's why you're going to have to be able to get right down to the point. And then leave room for the other speakers. to come in front of us for the, maybe the second hour even. We'll have to see how that works out. There is also another option. We could maybe get it together and have a special session where we have the council come in on another day and we just do this for 2 hours. So I will talk to Sarah, and Amber can send out the results of that discussion to everybody. But when you're getting everything dialed in, try to stay to that 2-minute point, because that's going to fit both of those scenarios. I know it's hard to do that, but make sure you have the literature to give to the council. Have that passed out before your presentation so they can get a chance to look at it and be able to take it home and, consider all the points.
But I would still encourage us all to attend if we could, just to, as a committee, to show our strength that we're united as one, even if only one of us speaks, if that's how it works out. But I'd still, and we've done that in the past. Remember that first time, Mike, we had everybody in attendance sitting there that was part of the committee, and I thought that was strong.
Yeah, well, let's find out what dates we're talking about.
Sounds good. We will be in touch on that.
Michael McGinnis, Community Development. One update regarding the grant through ADO. Pollock and Company, Rick Merritt, the president of Pollock and Company, wants to meet with Workforce Housing Committee members, either individually or in pairs, talk about workforce housing, their strategic plan, as well as implementation. So I'm going to be working on that, sending out emails, couple of y'all at a time, to set up that meeting. So just a heads up, virtual meeting. So.
All right. And then tentatively, depending on the discussions from today, at the November meeting, we'll plan on having Will West and City Attorney Joe Young come and talk about impact fees. Then we're going to try to get Sandy again. And then we'll keep everybody updated on council meetings.
Regarding the impact fees, we were going to have our meeting with Will. I'm wondering if we can have that before the next November meeting so that we're more prepared when we have the city attorney here to talk about impact.
Yes, I can schedule that. And then I don't know, we have some new guests today. Do you want to take public comment if we have any?
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed some new faces in the audience. So do we have any public comment, questions?
Not from this new face.
Just wanted to check. That's all I have.
Yeah, it seems like we should be doing something, you guys. We've only been here 40 minutes. I mean,
The next one will be longer. I'll make sure of it. I'll get a solid 2 hours in there.
More policy.
I might even make it 2.5 hours just for fun.
okay, any comments from the committee at all? Any questions or comments? Well, I guess we've covered it, so I move that we adjourn.